Lawyers and jurists. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The International Association of Jewish Lawyers and Jurists views the Human Rights Council with great respect. As an organization established by the father of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Mr. René Cassin, we believe in empowering the voice of human rights all over the world. Violations and atrocities take place on a daily basis, and all states must be scrutinized in order to ensure that human rights are respected, violations are prevented, and the rights of all persons are protected. In recent years, the Council has been going through an extensive long-term efficiency process. The purpose of that process is to enhance productivity and impact and reduce unnecessary costs. However, one of the main obstacles of this efficiency process has been the unreasonable refusal to reduce the disproportionate focus on Israel under Agenda Item 7. Madam Vice President, the human and financial resources that are spent on Israel can neither be considered efficient nor productive. In the last 5 years, the Council has produced approximately 30 reports and adopted 25 resolutions condemning Israel in its regular sessions. This constitutes over 30% out of all resolutions condemning states adopted during that period of time. Madam Vice President, the promotion of human rights globally, which is the raison d'etre of the Human Rights Council, requires monitoring and scrutinizing all states of the world, including Israel. The distorted process of Agenda Item 7 and the subsequent bias against Israel are an impediment to achieving this goal. Thank you, Madam Vice President.
Thank you. And the next speaker is Africa Culture International. The floor is yours. I understand that the Africa Culture International is not in the room, and so I give the floor to the Turo Law Center. The floor is yours.
My name is Qasim Hafiz. I was raised a radical Muslim and was taught to hate Jews in Israel from a young age. Hatred was so ingrained in my identity that in my early 20s I decided that terrorism, murdering civilians who did not see the world as I did in order to advance my agenda, was my calling. But then I learned the truth. I came to know that what I had been taught about Jews was wrong. I visited Israel and saw for myself that the media reports and international condemnations of the Jewish state were lies. Israel is a free and democratic state. Its citizens are accorded full human and civil rights. As this body recently displayed by brazenly lying about Israel's actions in Gaza, hatred towards the Jewish state persists. It is fueled by a wave of anti-Semitism sweeping across Europe, the US and the Middle East, and elsewhere. This Council has repeatedly demonized Israel while ignoring Palestinian terror attacks and the real victims of human rights abuses across the globe. But make no mistake, those who foster anti-Semitism at the UN, at this Council, who build their careers and foreign policy on a foundation of Jew hatred, will be judged harshly by history. When you demonize the Jewish state, it is a reflection of your moral bankruptcy and nothing more. I know this because I was just as wrong.
Thank you. And I now give the floor to the Institute for NGO Research. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. High Commissioner Bachelet did the right thing in delaying the publication of the Council's BDS blacklist, enacted as yet another way for the Palestinian Authority to exploit UN frameworks for legal and economic warfare. The production of this blacklist has been marred by irredeemable due process failures and anti-Semitic discrimination. The company names already leaked in the media are truly astounding. The vast majority are involved in providing for basic needs and civilian goods and services to Palestinians and Israelis alike. Egregiously, and based upon crackpot theories provided to them by BDS groups, many of whom are in this room, OHCHR has singled out pharmaceutical companies that have no presence in the West Bank. Many companies provide civilian protection from ongoing Palestinian terrorism. Other companies are engaged in activities mandated by the Oslo Accords and other international agreements, and some even have contracts with the PA to carry out the very functions upon OHCHR wants to blacklist them. Outrageously, companies that promote Jewish and Christian history are uniquely targeted, evidencing the discriminatory foundation of this entire exercise. Madam Vice President, at this very moment, hundreds are demonstrating outside, without sabotaging the UN fence, without launching balloon bombs, and without firing rockets onto UN property, to protest this BDS blacklist, and the rest of the grotesque anti-Israel spectacle taking place at the Council today. We are here to tell you, enough is enough.
Thank you. And I now give the floor to Human Rights Watch. The floor is
Thank you, Madam Vice President. As Israeli authorities expand settlements at an unprecedented high level, in the words of a recent EU report, it is urgent that the High Commissioner release the long-awaited report on the database of businesses facilitating illegal Israeli settlements. Settlements are at the root of serious, systematic violations of Palestinian rights, undermining their livelihoods and economy. The disappointing delay in publishing the database further entrenches corporate involvement in the abuses stemming from illegal settlements. The High Commissioner should commit to a clear date for publishing this vital report, preferably for consideration at the Council's June session. States should support publication in line with Security Council Resolution 2334 and the International Consensus on the Illegality of Settlements. In addition, the Human Rights Council should ensure follow-up to the Gaza COI's conclusion that members of Israeli security forces and their commanders may have committed war crimes and crimes against humanity. We encourage the High Commissioner to give the ICC prosecutor access to information about alleged perpetrators, including those who issued unlawful open fire orders, sanctioning the firing on protesters who pose no imminent mortal danger, so they can face possible criminal prosecution. States should also suspend assistance to the agencies within the Palestinian Authority and Hamas security forces that are systematically arresting and torturing critics and opponents with impunity. Finally, we note that for the first time, the lead sponsors have tabled the accountability resolution under Item 2. The onus is now on those states that have used Item 7 as a shield for refusing to support the resolution, most notably certain members of the EU, to demonstrate they were acting in good faith by supporting the resolution on its merits. Thank you.
Thank you. And I now give the floor to the International Federation of Journalists. The floor is yours.
السيد رئيس مجلس حقوق الإنسان، السادة الحضور المحترمين، لاحقا لحديثنا العام الماضي عن جرائم الاحتلال الإسرائيلي بحق الصحفيين الفلسطينيين والتي أدت لمقتل أكثر من 48 صحفيا فلسطينيا منذ العام 2000، فإن العام الماضي شهد تصاعدا خطيرا في عدد الجرائم والانتهاكات والاعتداءات بحق الصحفيين الفلسطينيين. وبتوثيق هذه الجرائم فقد ارتكبت قوات الاحتلال الإسرائيلي أكثر من 880 جريمة، منها قتل صحفيين وتدمير مقرات إعلامية واقتحام عدد آخر ومنع البث وإغلاق محطات إذاعية وتلفزيونية. ولا زالت سلطات الاحتلال تضع ما يسمى الرقيب العسكري على وسائل الإعلام الفلسطينية في القدس الشرقية عاصمة دولة فلسطين. وكان من أخطر هذه الجرائم الاعتداء على المسيرة السلمية التي نظمها الاتحاد الدولي للصحفيين وأدت لإصابة العشرات من الصحفيين، منهم قادة الاتحاد الدولي وقادة نقابات الصحفيين في العالم. إننا نطالب مجلس حقوق الإنسان الذي زودناه بوثائق عن الجرائم الاحتلالية أن يصدر تقريره عن هذه الجرائم، وأن يوفد لجنة تحقيق مختصة ترفع توصياتها للأمم المتحدة من أجل تنفيذ قرار مجلس الأمن رقم 2222 الذي ينص على عدم إفلات مرتكبي الجرائم بحق الصحفيين من العقاب، وخاصة مجرمي الحرب الإسرائيليين الذين يرتكبون الجرائم بحق الصحفيين الفلسطينيين. شكرا.
Thank you. Thank you. And I now give the floor to the International Youth and Student Movement for the United Nations. The floor is yours.
Madam Vice President, we are meeting at the time of a concerted attack not only on people of Palestine by the occupation power, but also against the United Nations itself, but the very machinery it has established for the protection of the rights of the Palestinian people. When the apartheid system was finally abolished in South Africa, we had hoped that it will not be replicated anywhere else. But in the occupied Palestine, segregation and persecution is intensifying every day in a gross violation of international law. The international community must not weaken its resolve to bring an end to the occupation. We therefore welcome the draft resolution tabled at this Council. We are deeply concerned over the deceptive campaign against Agenda Item 7 of the Council, which is dedicated to the specific situation of people under occupation. Member States agreed in 2006 to have this agenda item. It was reaffirmed in the 2011 review. Agenda Item 7 is not about Israel as the disinformation campaign claim, but about the occupation. And for that reason, the agenda item was agreed to remain until the end of the occupation. The campaign to remove Item 7 has little chance to succeed, but it creates division among member states and undermines the public standing and effectiveness of the Council by its distortions. We call on all member states to participate constructively and in good faith in the deliberation under Item 7 at all future sessions. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. And I now give the floor to Solidarité Suisse-Guinée.
Madame la Vice-Présidente, Depuis le début de la Grande Marche du Retour, Israël a délibérément utilisé une force excessive contre des manifestants pacifiques en violation des principes du droit international, tuant 256 personnes, dont 38 enfants et blessant un citoyen de Gaza sur 100. En outre, les manifestants ont été la cible de tirs réels, de balles explosives, de gaz toxiques et lacrymogènes, provoquant une suffocation et une incapacité parmi les civils, y compris 69 handicaps permanents. Parallèlement au ciblage direct de tous les groupes, y compris le personnel médical et les journalistes, l'occupation israélienne continue d'imposer son siège à Gaza, causant des souffrances aux personnes blessées en raison de la faiblesse des infrastructures de santé de la bande de Gaza et la grave pénurie de médicaments. Nous nous félicitons des rapports de la commission d'enquête internationale que votre éminent conseil a adopté pour enquêter sur les violations constatées dans le territoire palestinien occupé, en particulier de la bande de Gaza. Nous vous appelons à prendre des mesures urgentes et à tirer parti des conclusions du rapport pour prendre toutes les mesures voulues pour renvoyer les personnes impliquées, y compris les dirigeants israéliens qui ont commis des crimes contre des civils palestiniens devant les tribunaux compétents, conformément au principe de la compétence universelle. Nous vous appelons à garantir réparation aux victimes et à leurs familles, comme le prévoit le statut de Rome. En conclusion, nous demandons au Conseil de redoubler d'efforts pour faire pression sur Israël afin qu'il lève immédiatement et sans condition le blocus imposé à Gaza depuis 13 ans. Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you. And I give the floor to the Network of Women's Non-Governmental Organizations in the Islamic Republic of Iran. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Unfortunately, despite the passing of 2 decades from the setting of Beijing Action Plan in support of women who live in armed or unarmed conflict and under occupation, women's support is only visible in the form of documents, and no serious steps have been taken to stop wars. In the meantime, women have had to suffer lack of abuse as a result of their disability or the loss of their guardians. Today, millions of women in various countries such as Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and Yemen, Iran, and especially Palestine are facing serious barriers in their path to progress in various areas and are deprived of their rights in different areas: health, economy, politics, due to the war and sanction, and also the existing double standards. We believe that those similar projects, resolutions, and acts are a positive step towards supporting women in conflict zones. They can independently solve their problem. We believe that the conflicts can be resolved through debate and mutual understanding, and hereby call for a coalition of NGOs and international organizations for resolving conflicts through dialogue to provide opportunities for women. Identify the fact that sanction, war, and existing double standard of developing countries facing conflicts is a serious threat to women's rights and progress. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. And I now give the floor to the International Association of Democratic Lawyers.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Israel occupied the Syrian Golan in June 1967 and annexed it unilaterally in 1981 when it decided to impose its laws, jurisdiction and administration to the Golan. UN Security Council Resolution 497 declared that decision null and void and without international legal effect, and gave Israel 15 days to rescind its decision. We strongly condemn the persistent violations of international law by the Israeli state, committing systematic human rights violations and serious violations of the Geneva Conventions, which amount to war crimes. We only highlight here the large transfer in and out of civilian population, leading to a change in the population composition in the territory. Notwithstanding the Israeli constant policy to seek international support for the annexation of the Golan, the UN General Assembly has adopted numerous resolutions recalling the illegality of both the occupation and the annexation. All said resolutions reaffirm the fundamental principle of the inadmissibility of the acquisition of territory by force in accordance with international law and the Charter of the United Nations. It is time for the international community to take effective measures to end the occupation and to hold Israel accountable for the illegal annexation and the war crimes committed in the occupied Palestinian territories and the Syrian Golan. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you. And I now give the floor to the Defense for Children International.
Thank you. Israel is the only country that systematically prosecutes children in military courts, lacking fundamental fair trial guarantees and protections. Each year, an estimated 500 to 700 Palestinian children are detained from the occupied West Bank and prosecuted in Israeli military courts. In 2018, DCI Palestine documented 120 child detention cases from the West Bank. The vast majority of these children, over 75%, reported physical violence by Israeli forces during their detention. and more than half said that they had experienced verbal abuse, threats, humiliation, or intimidation. Israeli forces placed at least 22 children in isolation solely for interrogation purposes for 48 hours or more. The longest period of isolation we documented was 30 days. In 2018, Israeli forces held 6 Palestinian children in administrative detention, detaining them without charge or trial. In October 2015, and for the first time since 2011, Israel renewed the practice of administrative detention against Palestinian children in the West Bank. We have collected comprehensive data that shows 29 Palestinian children have been placed under administrative detention from that time until December 2018. We urge all members of the Council to demand Israeli authorities end the practice of using isolation and solitary confinement on children in Israeli military detention, whether in pretrial detention or as a form of punishment, and ensure this prohibition is enshrined in law, and demand that Israeli authorities release all Palestinian children held in administrative detention, immediately stop this practice, and enshrine this prohibition in law. Thank you.
Thank you. And I now give the floor to the Association d'Entraide Médicale Guinée. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Global mental health human rights violations are unresolved global crisis. The Emotional Wellbeing Institute and ADEMEG are concerned with iatrogenic impacts on persons with psychosocial disabilities. I propose to extend the use of the term iatrogenic to encompass global interventions such as counterproductive decisions made by systems and state sectors. Human rights violation of people with psychosocial disabilities remain pervasive. Issues central to human rights violations are misdiagnosis, stigmatization, and discrimination, leading to the denial of people's right to exercise legal capacity. The misinformed use of diagnostic labels become harmful when used by legal professionals who often have negative attitudes and prejudices. Legal systems that require that decisions are based on psychiatric diagnoses without having adequate rationality lead to inappropriate use of diagnostic information about the person with psychosocial disabilities. Practices, therefore, must include minimization of harm caused by the legal system when misdiagnosis is accepted, leading to human rights violation, adverse and toxic outcomes. Applying the framework of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and using a range of evidence-based strategies can help to eliminate these violations and promote human rights. Thank you very much, Madam Vice President.
Thank you. And before I give the floor to the next speaker, I would like to remind all speakers that we are currently discussing item 7, which is the human rights situation in Palestine and other occupied Arab territories. And speakers are therefore invited to address issues which are relevant to that agenda item. I now give the floor to the Khayyam Rehabilitation Center for Victims of Torture. The floor is yours.
سيدة الرئيسة، يبدي مركز الخيام ومؤسسة التضامن قلقاهما على ما آلت إليه الأمور في السجون للاحتلال الإسرائيلي، حيث تواصل سلطات الاحتلال وإدارة مصلحة السجون استهداف الأسرى الفلسطينيين بشكل مباشر عبر إجراءات عقابية وصلت لحد تعريض حياتهم إلى خطر الموت الحتمي، وخاصة بعد تركيب أجهزة تشويش إلكترونية في سجن النقب الصحراوي كمرحلة أولى لتعم كافة السجون في حلول عام 2021. سيد الرئيس، إن قوة هذه الأجهزة على نشر موجات كهرومغناطيسية تبلغ 2690 ميجا هرتز، تقطع كل أنواع البث وتطلق إشعاعات تؤدي إلى تشويه جيني للخلايا وتؤدي إلى أمراض سرطانية، مع العلم أن تركيب هذه الأجهزة مخالفة لقرارات واتفاقيات جنيف 4 باب 2 المادة 12 13 14 15 16. سيد الرئيس، قامت الدول الأعضاء منذ 4 سنوات بالاجتماع في سويسرا كحاضنة للاتفاقيات الأربعة، وهي تمثل المركز الإنساني في العالم وبحث عن حلول لتعزيز احترام الدول وجميع الجهات الأخرى المعنية بالقانون الإنساني الدولي، ولم يتطرق موضوع حماية الأسرى الفلسطينيين خلال فترات الاحتلال من سنة 48 إلى الآن على المستوى المحلي والدولي، مع العلم أن هذا الاجتماع تم منذ 4 سنوات وتم خلالها التعاطي أو التعامل مع قضية الأسرى بصورة عابرة. سيد الرئيس، نطالب مجلسكم الموقر بتفعيل آليات تنفيذ وتعزيز احترام الاتفاقيات الخاصة بحماية الأسرى، إفادة لجنة فنية متخصصة في فحص هذه الأجهزة، إفادة لجنة تحقيق من منظمة الصحة العالمية للاطلاع على أوضاع الأسرى المزرية، 1100 مريض منهم أكثر من 30 مريض بالسرطان و33 مقعدين، والطفل أحمد آدم مساور 6 سنوات اعتقل.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And I now give the floor to the International Buddhist Relief Organization. I understand they're not in the room, so I now give the floor to the World Muslim Congress.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. We welcome the clear and detailed report of the Independent Commission of Inquiry. In particular, we welcome its recommendation that states exercise criminal jurisdiction and arrest persons alleged to have committed or who ordered the international crimes described in the present report, and either to try or to extradite them. However, we remind the members of this Council and all states that these measures constitute an obligation of both treaty law and preparatory norms. Madam Vice President, the violations and crimes described in the report remains ongoing against the Palestinians exercising their right to protest for their denial of right self-determination, blockade, population transfer, dispersion in Gaza and elsewhere. Therefore, we urge the continuation and expansion of the Commission of Inquiry mandate until effective criminal jurisdiction pursuing both individuals and command responsibility is effectively applied against the perpetrators. I thank you.
Thank you. And I now give the floor to the International Muslim Women's Union. The floor is yours. I understand they are not in the room. And I give the floor to the Village Uni. I understand they are also not in the room, so I now give the floor to the Mizan Center for Human Rights.
شكرا. ما زالت القدس المحتلة مدينة السلام تخضع منذ عقود للاحتلال الإسرائيلي المستمر في انتهاكاته لحقوق الشعب الفلسطيني، في حين ما زلنا ننتظر الدور الجاد للمجتمع الدولي لإنهاء الاحتلال. يعمل الاحتلال الإسرائيلي بشكل ممنهج على تغيير هوية مدينة القدس المحتلة المدينة الفلسطينية، ويسعى إلى تحويلها إلى مدينة يهودية فقط، كما يسعى بكل قوة إلى إجبار العالم على الاعتراف له بالسيادة على القدس المحتلة بشكل غير قانوني وغير شرعي. يقوم الاحتلال الإسرائيلي بالاعتداء على الأماكن المقدسة الإسلامية والمسيحية بشكل يومي، ويعتدي على المصلين العزل بالضرب، ويقوم بممارسة الاعتقال التعسفي للنساء والأطفال والشيوخ والشباب في المسجد الأقصى المبارك. كما ويقوم الاحتلال بحفريات غير قانونية تحت أملاك المقدسيين في حي سلوان والبلدة القديمة وأسفل المسجد الأقصى المبارك، ويسعى إلى ترحيل الفلسطينيين من القدس بشكل قسري وجماعي. إن الاعتراف الأمريكي غير القانوني بالقدس المحتلة كعاصمة لإسرائيل ومحاولة بعض الدول نقل سفاراتها إلى القدس أعطى إسرائيل الضوء الأخضر لمزيد من الانتهاكات. كل هذه الانتهاكات وغيرها هي السبب الرئيسي للتوتر الحاصل في القدس والمنطقة. سيد الرئيس، نطالب المجلس الموقر اتخاذ قرار واضح ضد أي تغيير للوضع القانوني للقدس، والوقوف بحزم ضد سياسات الاستيطان والتهويد والانتهاكات. شكرا.
Thank you. Thank you. And I now give the floor to the COJEP. I understand they are not in the room. I give the floor to the Conseil international pour le soutien à des procès équitables et aux droits de l'homme. The floor is yours.
سيد الرئيس، فلسطين أرض تحت الاحتلال منذ ما يزيد عن 70 عاما. الجمعية العامة للأمم المتحدة بقرارها 181 قسمت بموجبه فلسطين المغتصبة، وتواصلت بعدها القرارات. 86 قرار من مجلس الأمن استخدم فيها الفيتو الأمريكي دعما للاحتلال. أكثر من 700 قرار من الأمم المتحدة لحل القضية الفلسطينية ولا تنفيذ لأي منها. الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية تدعم إسرائيل ككيان غاصب والذي تعرض الأمن والسلم الدوليين لأخطار الحرب بدعم منها. اللوبي الحليف من العديد من الدول الأعضاء في الأمم المتحدة تحاول أيضا الالتفاف على القرار 497 باعتبار إسرائيل بضم الجولان السوري المحتل باطلا بطلانا مطلقا أيضا ولاغيا ولا أثر قانوني له. التعنت الأمريكي ونقل سفارته إلى القدس بتحد سافر للشرعية الدولية وإلغاء حق العودة والترويج لصفقات قرنية تحت مسميات عدة ليس من بينها ما يجسد الالتزام بالقرارات الدولية ويحترم الميثاق ومبادئ القانون الدولي. الكنيسة الممثل للشعب الإسرائيلي يصدر القرارات بتوسيع الاستيطان وإلغاء حل الدولتين، المزيد من القمع والتنكيل وإقامة جدار الفصل العنصري وقانون بعدم إعادة جثامين الشهداء الفلسطينيين. السيد الرئيس، إن التطبيع أمر محرم لدى الشعوب العربية الحرة، والأنظمة الساقطة هي من تحرول نحوه، والشعب الفلسطيني لن يكل ولن يمل، وهو يواصل مسيرات العودة ويقاوم الاحتلال بشتى أدواته لنيل حقوقه المشروعة. شكرا سيد الرئيس.
Thank you. Thank you. And I now give the floor to the Indian movement, Tupaj Amaru.
Tupac Amaru, the World Peace Council condena enérgicamente los crímenes perpetrados en la Franja de Gaza, bloqueada por la potencia ocupante israelí, que se burla de las resoluciones adoptadas por este Consejo de Derechos Humanos y mandatos especiales para investigar graves y sistemáticas violaciones de los derechos humanos del pueblo palestino en violación del espíritu de la Carta de las Naciones Unidas. Israel sigue cometiendo crímenes con la complicidad y complacencia de las potencias occidentales. El relator especial de la ONU sobre los derechos humanos de los pueblos palestinos sostuvo que el asesinato deliberado de un crimen de guerra perpetrados contra 31 niños asesinados y 23.000 palestinos heridos por balas reales. La potencia ocupante debe asumir su responsabilidad en virtud de los cuarto y sexto del Estatuto de Roma de la Corte Penal Internacional adoptado en 1998 y la Convención para la Prevención y Sanción de Delito de Genocidio de 1948. Los responsables políticos y militares deben comparecer ante la Corte Penal Internacional de Roma a fin de responder de sus actos perpetrados con la intención de destruir físicamente un grupo nacional o étnico total y parcialmente.
Thank you, sir. We now give the floor to Badil Resource Center. Thank you. The floor is yours. The Badil Resource Center.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. In 2016, the Human Rights Council voted in favor of establishing a database of companies involved or with Israeli settlements in the occupied Palestinian territory. Israeli settlements are illegal under international law. A database of businesses in settlements would provide transparency for states, companies, and the public. It also can be used as a tool to ensure that companies are not complicit in human rights violations and grave breaches. Exploitation of Palestinian natural resources has served as a backbone of the development of Israeli economy. This is contrary to the laws of occupation. Through various methods of land appropriation, building restrictions, closure policies, and continuous confiscation of land, the Israeli regime has woven a tangled web of military laws and economic policies that serve its own geopolitical interests, keeping the Palestinian economy in perpetual state of de-development and subordination. Companies also profit from the restriction and restricted flow of goods coming in and out of the occupied Palestinian territory. Madam Vice President, the database can be an effective tool to ensure that no company is involved in unlawful activities in Israeli settlements. This is why we urge its immediate release. The Office of the High Commissioner must ensure that the mandate of the Council on the database is fulfilled without any further delay. Thank you.
Thank you. And I now give the floor to Servas International. The floor is yours.
Madam Vice President, this year Servas International will be celebrating its 70th anniversary. It was founded as a peace organization in Denmark in 1949 by conscientious objectors to war and peace activists. Servas's focus is to connect people around the world, share culture, and form international friendships. Servas now has over 15,000 host homes in over 100 countries worldwide. While we recognize that a permanent solution to the Israeli-Palestine situation cannot be achieved instantly, we do ask the Israeli government to take some immediate steps, including stopping its practice of arresting children as young as 5 years. As a peace organization, Servas is deeply concerned that the Israeli occupation has led to a system of discrimination where Palestinians are subject to military tribunals while illegal settlers are under civil legal institutions. We call on Israel also now to end this practice and grant Palestinians access to civil courts. Finally, as an organization promoting personal contacts through visitations, we are especially concerned that the Israeli government has implemented impediments to the freedom of movement for Palestinians. The Israeli government is also restricting the ability of international travelers to visit host families in Palestine. We ask the Human Rights Council to help end these restrictions so that visitation can be easily facilitated and to work effectively for an end to the occupation and discrimination. I thank you.
Thank you. And I now give the floor to Benai Brith.
Madam Chair, in nearly every region, territories are deemed occupied by one or another party. Why is it that only lands under Israeli control are the subject of endless and one-sided attention by this Council? Human settlement and resettlement have been widespread across history. Today, many of us fight discrimination in our own neighborhoods, and among many, it is an article of faith that no person is illegal. Why then is only the presence of Jews deemed illegal in Judea, the very cradle of their civilization? Madam Chair, in countries tarnished by the most systemic human rights atrocities, this Council and partisan activists have not advocated boycotts of commercial or other engagement. Why then has this Council singled out for hostility those engaged with the democratic Jewish state, frequently to the benefit of both Israelis and Palestinians? Madam Chair, fanatics rejected Israel's existence and equality long before any disputed territories came under its control and long after it proved willing to share that sacred land with the Palestinians. The killers of ISIS, Hamas, and Hezbollah make no distinction between Tel Aviv and the West Bank, a fact shown yet again over recent days. Demonization and double standards must be recognized for the bigotry they are, even when the targets of this Council's automatic majority are Jews. Madam Chair, Israelis' rights are human rights too. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next statement is from the United Towns Agency for North-South Cooperation. The floor is yours.
سيدي الرئيس، واصلت سلطات الاحتلال خلال عام 2018 سياسة الاعتقالات كوسيلة للعقاب الجماعي، وبلغت حالات الاعتقال لأبنائه وبناته منذ عام 2000 وحتى اليوم 113 ألف حالة اعتقال، وطالت الاعتقالات كافة شرائح المجتمع الفلسطيني بما فيها الأطفال والنساء والمحررين والمرضى والمعاقين وكبار السن والأكاديميين والناشطين الحقوقيين والإعلاميين والصيادين ونواب المجلس التشريعي. وقد شهد عام 2018 5700 حالة اعتقال. سيدي الرئيس، لم تعد السجون مكان آمن على أرواح الأسرة بعد قرار وزير الأمن الإسرائيلي بتركيب أجهزة تشويش إلكترونية في كل سجون الاحتلال تصدر إشعاعات بقوة 1600 ميجا إرس تسبب أمراض خطيرة تهدد حياة الأسرة. سيدي الرئيس، هل من الإنسانية أن يبقى أولئك الأسرة المرضى واللي وصل أعدادهم إلى 1100 أسير مريض في سجون الاحتلال، من بينهم 27 أسير يعانون من السرطان، 33 معاق حركي ونفسي، 4 أسرة مصابين بشلل نصفي، ويتعرض الأطفال الأسرة للقمع والتنكيل والتعذيب، ووصل الأمر إلى اعتقال طفله عمره 3 سنوات لمدة ساعتين. سيدي الرئيس، بعد هذا العرض الأرقام نخلص إلى التوصيات التالية: الضغط الفعلي على دولة الاحتلال ووقف قتل الأسرة بزراعة أجهزة تصدر أمراض سرطانية، إيفاد لجنة فنية وأخرى صحية دولية من منظمة الصحة العالمية للتحقيق من الأجهزة.
Thank you, sir. We now open the floor for the Women's International Zionist Organization. The floor is.
My name is Einat Wilf. It is my distinct honor to speak on behalf of WIZO, the Women's International Zionist Organization, a global, all-volunteer provider of social services in Israel for women, children, and families of all backgrounds equally. I am a feminist and a Zionist, a proud one. I will apologize for neither. For millennia, women and Jews have been placed on a lower rung of the ladder of societies. They were forced to accept that they had no power to determine their fate. Others would do that for them. Feminism and Zionism liberated women and Jews in the name of equality. Feminism and Zionism enabled us to say, loud and clear, I refuse to be seen how you wish to see me. I am not your inferior. I can be so much more than I am allowed to be, and I will be free to make the most of my humanity. Today I stand before you, a proud Jew and a strong woman, thanks to the efforts of Zionist and feminist revolutionaries. I commit to continuing the revolution until this chamber and governments and people around the world stop trying to take us back to a dark time when we were powerless, defenseless, and at the mercy of others. No more.
Thank you. And I would like to remind all speakers that we are currently discussing item 7, which is the human rights situation in Palestine and other occupied Arab territories. And speakers are therefore invited to address issues that are relevant under this agenda item. I now open the floor for the Palestinian Center for Development and Media Freedoms. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Israeli attacks against Palestinian journalists and media outlets, including killing of 2 journalists, continued to escalate during 2018, where a total of 455 attacks were committed by then. Over the past 10 years, it was found that an average of 21 Israeli attacks were monitored monthly, noting that the proportion of 2018 was the highest, amounting to 38 attacks for each month. The year of 2018 has witnessed a rise in the number of Palestinian journalists who were arrested or detained by the Israeli occupation forces, amounting to a total of 41 cases compared to 33 in the preceding year. Our organization, the Palestinian Center for Development and Media Freedoms, reaffirms that the rights of the Palestinian journalists are still vulnerable to the Israeli violations, and up to date, no deterrent measures have been taken to ensure that journalists in the occupied Palestinian territories can perform their professional duties freely without undue interference. We call on your venerable Council to exert necessary efforts for following up the Israeli violations committed against Palestinian journalists and to take legal measures that force Israel as an occupying power to comply with and adhere to international human rights laws, particularly the rights to freedom of expression and press. I thank you.
Thank you. And I now give the floor to the International Commission of Jurists. The floor is yours.
Madam Vice President, regarding the database of business enterprises involved in listed activities in the settlements on the occupied Palestinian territory, the ICJ recognizes the important work that has been done, but is deeply concerned at OHCHR's failure to publicly release it. All states, including the home states of the companies involved, have a responsibility to prevent companies from operating in breach of international law. Businesses themselves should see the database as an opportunity to more proactively incorporate respect for human rights within their policies and operations. The prompt publication of the database should contribute to global efforts to hold all business enterprises accountable for their role in violations of human rights and humanitarian law, and to give them an incentive to cease in such behavior. The ICJ urges all states, including those that have supported the creation of this database, to redouble efforts to prevent business complicity in serious human rights abuses. We also urge states to hold businesses legally accountable when abuses or operations occur in their own territories. I thank you.
Thank you. And I now give the floor to Adala, Legal Center for Arab Minority Rights in Israel. The floor is yours.
Madam Vice President, as we discussed the finding of the Commission of Inquiry, Israeli snipers continue to intentionally shoot at Palestinian civilians at Gaza's Great March of Return without fear of consequences. This reality exists because of the deep and chronic failings of Israel's domestic investigation system and the shield of impunity it provides to its forces. Last year, Adala and Al-Mizan and other organizations petitioned the Israeli Supreme Court to challenge the rules of engagement, allowing live fire to be used on demonstrators. The court, which was not even giving access to those rules, nonetheless gave the green light for the army to apply them. It is no surprise then that the Commission cast doubts over Israel's willingness to hold perpetrators accountable for their actions at the march. Madam Vice President, for over 20 years, Adala has found that Israel's domestic investigations fall far short of international standards. While Israel issued reports to supposedly improve its domestic system, today those reports are little more than ink on paper, and any future investigations will only be a smokescreen to hide its culture of impunity.
As such, I am here to remind the Council of the Palestinian victims listed in the Commission's report, the students, the carpenters, the bricklayers, the medics, the journalists, and more. For them and their families, Adala urges this Council to support the Commission's report and to ensure accountability, remedies, and justice for the crimes committed. Thank you.
Thank you. And with this last intervention, we have concluded the consideration of Agenda Item 7.